Hello, today we are going to be talking about solutions to quadratic equations with the graphing calculator. So this is going to be a shortcut or a double check for doing the traditional solving methods for solving quadratic equations. So you always want to try and do everything by hand because you want to understand the concept, but this is a trick that you can use to answer multiple choice questions when the solutions are provided, because obviously one of the four choices have to be the answer. So we want to start with the idea that solutions make equations true, meaning the left side has to equal the right side when I plug in values for x. So how we use the graphing calculator are these steps right here. So step one is the left side of your equation goes into y1, the right side goes into y2. You change the table setup by going to second window and changing independent to ask. And then you go to the table function, which is second graph, and you test the possible solutions to determine which ones are true. So if we take a look at this first example here, we have if 4x squared minus 100 is equal 0, the roots of the equation are, all right, so if you want to pause the video right now and write this question down, by all means. So we have to understand the idea that roots really represent the x-intercepts, the zeros, and the solutions. These are all synonyms when you have a quadratic equation, okay, because I have the left side and the right side of the equation. So what we are doing with the calculators, we're treating them as two separate expressions, plugging them into the graphing calculator so that when I type in my possible solutions, I'm typing these x values and the calculator does the work of plugging in for you. So then you're going to get a value for the left side, a value for the right side, and you can compare. So I can show you right now just one of them, what would happen. So if I take 4x squared minus 100 and set it equal to 0, I'm going to test the value of, let's test 5. So if I plug in 5, what happens is the left side becomes 5 squared is 25 times 4 is 100. I get 100 minus 100, which is 0. So 0 is equal to 0. Notice I have a value for the left side and a value for the right side, and I can determine that they are in fact equal, which means that this is a true statement. So 5 is a solution because it makes the equation true. Now obviously we have a whole bunch more to test, so that's why using the graphing calculator helps, because I don't want to have to by hand type in negative 25 and then 25 and then negative 25 again, or negative 5 and 5. That's a lot of options here. So we can use the graphing calculator. So you're going to go to y equals, type in the left side, so that's 4x squared minus 100. The right side is 0. We're going to go to second window and change the independent to ask. You always leave the dependent alone. So I select it, and then I go to the table. So second graph gets me the table. So it's empty. So what's happening here is I'm going to type in x values that are my possible solutions, and I'm going to get the left side and right side of the equation here. So let's start with that idea. Let's start with 5. Okay, since we already did the math, so I'm going to type in 5 and press enter, and I get 0 equals 0. Well, that's what I wound up with down here. So we know that 5 is a possible solution, or is a solution. So let's just verify the others. So if I type in negative 25, they are not equal. If I type in 25, they are also not equal. So choice 1 is not the answer, which also implies that choice 2 is not the answer. If I type in negative 5, I get 0, 0, which is a solution. And 5 is a solution. We already have it typed in. So choice 3 is our answer. Those are the roots of the equation because they make the equation true. All right, so let's take a look at example number 2. If you'd like to pause the video right now and attempt this one on your own, by all means. So, which value of x is a solution to the equation? So, here's the left side of my equation and the right side. So, if I go back to y equals, I can type in 13 minus 36x squared. The right side is now negative 12. That's okay, because again, we're just testing the left and right side. So I go to second window. I'm still in ask mode. I go to the table by pressing second graph. And you'll notice whatever I have left over from my previous example is here. You can press the delete button, and that will get rid of anything that's pre-existing. So now I have 36 over 25. You cannot type a fraction using alpha y equals enter here. I'll show you why. It'll just give you the division symbol, which means this does not have enough room to show you the breakdown of the top and bottom. So if I just jump back down here, I can type in alpha y equals enter very easily, and I get this example to create the fraction. Unfortunately, when we are in ask mode, there's not enough room in this calculator to show you that. So you have to know that 36 will come first, then I have to press the division sign, and then 25 comes next. So when I press enter, this is not equal, so this is not a solution. Then I'm going to try 25 divided by 36. Again, not a solution because the left side does not equal the right side, meaning when I plug in, I get a false statement. Now I have to do negative 6 over 5. So I can type the negative first, then 6 divided by 5, and I do not get a solution. And then negative 5 divided by 6, they are equal, so this is a solution to the equation. All right, so here's the last type of example. You'll notice that in this one, I have these plus and minus symbols. So the idea is that when you have a, let's just do this last example, negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 3, this is two separate roots. Negative 7 plus the square root of 3 and negative 7 minus the square root of 3. So you have to test them separately. There is no plus or minus symbol in the graphing calculator. So, but once again, it says what is the solution of the equation. So here is the left side, here is the right side. So I go into y equals. I'm going to type in parentheses x plus 3 squared. And on the right side, this is going to be a 7. Second window, I'm still in ask mode. Second graph, to get the table, I can delete what's already here. And now I'm going to type in one choice at a time. So this is going to be 3 plus the square root of 7 first, which is not a solution. So I'm not going to bother verifying if 3 minus the square root of 7 is, because they're asking what the solution of the equation is. And if the first one doesn't work, then 3 minus the square root of 7 doesn't really matter because they both have to make them a solution. So this doesn't work. So I'll just show you with 3 minus the square root of 7. Also doesn't work. So let's try choice 2. I'm going to start with 7 plus the square root of 3, and then I can test 7 minus the square root of 3. Not a solution, and once again, just to double check and show you, this also does not work. So, I just wrote x's here. So if you check with choice 3, negative 3 plus the square root of 7 is true. I have to make sure I also verify negative 3 minus the square root of 7. Also true. So this is the solution to my equation. So I can double check. I always like to double check all of my answers just to make sure I didn't make any mistakes. And this is also not a solution. All right. So I hope you enjoyed watching A Isaac Creation. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.